Do you think some people seek out drama, e.g. they make things difficult for themselves because they confuse it with meaning? Yes, people do that all the time. Is it because they confuse it with meaning? Yes, partly. That's a really complicated question that you're asking. The problem with, okay, so imagine that you gave people a choice, and the choice could be that they could suffer stupidly or they could live a meaningful life. And so you might say, well, obviously they're going to pick living a meaningful life. But it's not so obvious, because one of the prices that you pay for living a meaningful life is that you have to adopt responsibility. And the responsibility that's attendant on living a meaningful life is theoretically without limit. So, for example, one of the ways that's been conceptualized in classic Christianity is that in order to lead a meaningful life, you have to take the world's sins onto yourself. And that means that you have to see inside yourself all of the negative potentialities that are characterized, that being human is characterized by, and then you have to take responsibility for addressing those. And so when Carl Jung talked about this, for example, one of the points he made was that if you do a thorough enough investigation into your own faults, then you end up scouring, what's the word? It's not scouring precisely, harrowing hell, as close to literally as you might imagine. And of course, that's a very, very, very unpleasant experience. And so then you might say, well, people are going to perfectly well and logically want to avoid that. And then they do that using all sorts of subterfuge, because they don't want to admit to themselves that they're not taking any responsibility. So they'll often generate false crises in their own life and amplify problems beyond necessity so that they can convince themselves that when they're effortfully struggling through all that mess, that they're actually taking responsibility for their lives, but they're not. And so that's one of the reasons that people might seek out drama and make things difficult for themselves. And it's partly because they confuse it with meaning. But, there's multiple levels of horrible self-deception and confusion and avoidance that go along with that.